Let's turn to wall posts now. So you can see here the most clicked on wall posts. So touching stories or provocative stories can multiply the click-through rate by 2 to 3 times as many as the average. Sports and questions can also have a significant impact. But bear in mind that updates can have a very, very poor reach. So let me actually show you where they end up. Can you see here? They end up in the other inbox on a Facebook profile. But let me show you where an ad ends up now. So have a look at this. What you can see here is that an ad is a much more effective way of reaching your users. It's really going to get in front of their face. They're going to have FaceTime with an ad in a way in which they will not have with an update. Paid delivery is really much, in some ways, like email. Now let's have a brief look at the impact that age and gender can have on the click-through rate. This is actually quite an interesting graph. What it's showing you is that there's a steady increase in click-through rates as people move from youth to middle age. So as they have more purchasing power, as they're getting higher incomes, their click-through rate and their interest actually increases. And then what you can see is that there's a steep drop-off after 65. And the reason for that is obviously because they have less disposable income, they're on pensions now, so obviously they have less money to spend. Interestingly enough, education levels also impacts the click-through rate. So have a look at this. This is actually rather disappointing for a marketer. Better education here actually leads to a lower click-through rate. But what's actually interesting is that the click-through rate of a friend of your fan is proportionately higher. So this is where you really want to be focusing your energies. You want to see who your fans are and then understand their friends and perhaps try and invite your fans' friends to come and become fans as well. Now this data is something you probably expect me to show and you probably would have thought of before I was actually showing it to you. What you can see here is that actually a Facebook fan is 7 times more likely to click through at 0.35% of the average click-through of ads to fans. If they're not a fan, then the average click-through rate of an ad is 0.5%. So how do we optimize Facebook for search? So here are a couple of conditions that you should take into consideration. The first one is make engagement and fan base growth your priority. You can see why based on the data that we've shown here. You need to improve your SERP rank by growing page level likes as well as the number of people talking about this page, i.e. the number of people interacting with and talking about your page on their timelines. Don't forget about your timeline. 60% of the time, Google's pulling information from a brand in their about section, and only 16% of the time, it's pulling the meta description from the page's timelines, but that's also important. So make sure that your timelines are always being filled out as well as your about section. So let's head back to our notebook now. Okay, key teaching, the elements of search and discovery. Key takeaway, homing into your audience and knowing them intimately is key. And key instruction, acquire fans, grow your likes, and repeat.